Today is the call out. And thank you, George Vance, for calling out to create an atmosphere of fear. Yes, I understand that real well. I've had that happen to me on the job. I've had that happen to me outside the job. I've had that happen to me in the environment that I lived in for years. And now we are all experiencing an atmosphere of fear created by the one and only, what's his name? This guy, as Nancy Pelosi would say. Thank you, Nancy, for giving me two more names to say when I speak of this guy. It's hard to call his name out when you're sitting there looking at a person who lacks empathy, who lacks compassion, who is very grandiose. Grandiose meaning self-important. He's more important than you will ever be. That's right. And we're suffering from a man that has said, I alone can do everything. And what a price to pay for his self-importance. A price to pay for a person that uses people as a tool, that don't count them as a human life. These people are his supply. Michael Steele, that's what's so confusing. That look on your face, you're like, I don't understand why they do this over and over. Michael, I have said many times, now it's what he say, not what he do. And for many years, people have said, it's what he do. Watch what he do. Well, you found out he couldn't do the job. He needs a supply, Michael. He uses people as tools because he demands that they do his bidding. That's right. Those are his flying monkeys. And they have to kiss the ring and bow down to him. It's like a cult. It's like an addiction. And they will go to jail. They will lay down their life for this person that in the end only cares about himself. I don't care how much you do, what you go back and report. It's not important because he has no use to you. For you, you're not even considered a human being, a human life. See, Michael, that's what I wanted you to know. You're not a person. And these people think they will be rewarded and they will be cast aside because, Michael, he's internal and we're external. And in his mind, he is playing the lead role of Duncan MacLeod. In the Highlander, there can only be one. And in that there can only be one. Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to be ride or die partners, nor is Vladimir Putin. You're not going to have even Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban is not going to be a partner, nor Kim Jong-un, because there can only be one, Michael. That's right. As he said, I alone can do this. I am your Savior. I am your God. And it's hard to talk to a person that has that type of mental condition. Now listen carefully, Michael. Narcissistic disorders do not, once again, have a neurological condition. Their behavior impact a lot of people because they do things that sometimes is unintentional. But I will say it again, narcissistic behaviors have a mental condition, not a neurological condition. Oh, it absolutely rocks like there's something wrong with that brain. And there is. But in the meantime, Michael, this is a person that only see a snapshot of an image that he has in his mind. Everybody around him means nothing, nothing to him. And what you do for him, you're going to pay the consequences. Everybody around him has went to jail. And he's working his way there. And so don't get frustrated, Michael, because I have a surprise for you. Absolutely. Yes, I do. And when people come out that cult form and realize that they were a tool, just be patient with them, because it's a hard pill to swallow once you wake up from cult activity. And as George Sykes would say, well, I heard your voice, George, and you talked about draconian, a word that Secret Agent Rara, that's what I call her, draconian, she would say it all the time. And one of the co-hosts on her show would say, Kabuki Theater. That's right. This is Kabuki Theater. And the good news is about the people that I've watched over the years, they were all human beings. And like your book, they hadn't lost their mind. And the book, How the Right Lost Their Mind, don't worry about it. The GOP is about to lose their behind. Now, that double jeopardy, I wanted to go back and make sure that I was understanding double jeopardy. I guess my understanding is double jeopardy only applies once a trial has begun and the verdict has been reached. Eileen Cannon had a lot of stuff mixed up, didn't she? Wow. And I want to make sure that it says that when a judge pick a jury and alternate jurors, then double jeopardy does not apply because the selection of the jurors and alternate jurors is part of a pretrial process and does not involve a determination of guilt or innocence. Wow. Eileen Cannon had a lot of things mixed up. And then, what was really crazy after that, after me trying to get somewhere and understand this pretrial ruling that she put out there, presidential ruling for my favorite person, Jack Smith, a.k.a. John Wick, who she's now trying to blame for her being Captain Applehead. And saying that you didn't tell me anything. You didn't teach me anything. Well, a job that had been given to her for a lifetime, and she's become a flying monkey and she didn't know her job. She has the job, but she doesn't know what to do on the job. Well, since everything is unprecedented, I I would love for it to be that even if you couldn't charge a person twice for a crime, even if they're convicted or if they're innocent, and since everything is unprecedented and you know the person is going to do it again, why come they can't be charged twice? So I was trying to make sure that I was understanding double jeopardy. Now, let me tell you what I understood about Eileen Cannon. She should have been off the case long time ago. But she has showed her aluminum foil. No, aluminum foil is her saran wrap, okay? Her transparency wasn't good at all. And she showed her prejudice, her bias, her discrimination, whatever you want to call it, toward John Wick / Jack Smith. And then how are you going to get mad at somebody that didn't teach you what you felt like you needed to know, and you was that biased against them? Really? Well, she's going to come up on my list of call outs in a different format. But I just want to make sure that I had that double jeopardy right. Now, there was another call out. And I absolutely adore this person because he has mentored me for many years. And I have an ultimate respect for Lawrence O. When Lawrence said, this is the house code, 160-year-old law. And Arizona wasn't even a state. Can you believe that? I never liked back in the day Lawrence, because in this moment in time, we wasn't back in the day. We just refused to move forward. That's what happened. And I wrote something to show you that we're still in this moment in time and not moving forward and steady regressing. Hangers, quinine, turpentine, you bleed out and you lose your mind. Or you die and you ran out of time. And that's what happened in my era to a lot of the baby boomers who couldn't get the money to get an abortion. And it was a hanger, quinine, turpentine, whatever they could get hold of to abort the baby. Now, I know that sounds terrible, but that's the way it was, Lawrence. And that 160-year-old ruling by the men in black, judges that made this decision, a ruling that took place after the Civil War, a law revisited, Lawrence, and made humongous sparks and put Arizona in the dark. Now the Supreme Court has shown their hand, their transparency, that they are flying monkeys. And, Lawrence, my understanding of the writ of mandamus is that a person is supposed to come in and make sure that nobody crosses the line. When you have a judiciary system that's not supposed to be legislating from the bench, a judicial system that has taken side with a man that has created an atmosphere of fear for our nation, who has sided with a man who's very unintelligent, that doesn't have the ability to run himself, let alone run the country, Lawrence. You know, Senator Mark Kelly, the election does matter. And I heard your voice. And when you get a chance, tell Gabriel, your wife, I said hello. Now, I want to tell Michael, don't worry, because everything will fall into place. And this dark cloud will not continue to loom over our heads. And Lawrence, even though under the writ of mandamus, all Cannon had to do was do her job, to execute her job, to say, I'm going to hold this person accountable. Not play the game of favoritism because he gave her a lifetime position and even given her that position. What would number 44 say? Know this. You screwed that up. And they noticed it. And now the whole world knows this. Lawrence, as I looked at those rules and going back and looking at Mulberry versus Madison, even in 1812, what is the Republican Party that was the Democrat Republican Party in 1812? They're doing the same thing now. They've shifted. The party's divided within itself. The Republicans that's left are moving over to either the Democrat side or retiring or becoming independent. That's the same thing as the Federalists did in 1812 under Mulberry versus Madison. Two presidents at odds with each other. Because of what? At odds because somebody just said, no, I'm not letting you have your way. And Mulberry got pissed off. And he says, I'm going to sue. And this is a landmark decision that no longer has no grass up under it, because you once John Wick or James Jack Smith goes to the Supreme Court, then the problem exists that who's going to put them in check? Joy Reid, you're on my list. And I heard your voice. Well, boo, we just have to keep watching. We're just going to have to pay close attention and be those extra eyes and be vigilant so that they can stay in check and not legislate from the bench, and make sure that those branches stay in their lane and govern from their lanes. But now that this man, this guy, has created this atmosphere of fear and put his people in, it's a hard battle. It really is a hard battle. Now, another person that's been on my list that I like to give recognition to is Karine. I think it's Karine Jean-Pierre, who said that, you know what? The Dobbs Act in Mississippi on the abortion clause that they tried to get rid of, when I alone can only do it, Mr. I removed Roe v. Wade, just opened the door to say that more of our rights are going to be stripped away. That's right. And Karine Jean-Pierre, thank you for being such a hard fighter and bearing your cross that you bared for years. Well, we have Jamel Bowie. I heard your voice, and as they say, leave it up to the states, and look what happened when they left it up to the states. And now it's even a bigger problem than what this man, what's his name, the predecessor, can even imagine. And it was a true crime, and it wasn't with a Midas touch. This was monumental, and it hurt a lot of people. And just going back showing all those videos of him saying he would never touch this act. He would never go against Roe v. Wade. That's the same thing that the men in black said. And look what they're doing. And that's why Arizona is in the place that they're in. Well, for now, there's some of the people on my list for recognition because you've worked very hard. And I don't want your work to go in vain. I want you to understand that I'm learning, and I will continue to learn, and I will continue to listen and be vigilant, because once again, to create an atmosphere of fear, to close the gap on unintentional behaviors, a man who's going to use a crazy law like affluenza, who will come back and say, you know what? I've lived such a high-priced life that I can't afford to go to jail. I'm used to having golden toilet stools. There's no way, because of the law of affluenza. I'm so important. Everybody has to kiss the ring. And there's that law that they put in that can apply to me. Now, I still have my surprise. And that surprise is that in other countries, they absolutely adore their elderly. Not all countries, but a lot of countries, the Blue Zone especially, those countries of Japan, Greece, Italy, maybe even in Loma Linda, California, Costa Rica. Their elderly means a lot to them, and they listen. While here in the United States, what happens? We lock our elderly away. Well, I had to go visit one of my elderlies, my grand poobah. And you know what she said? Did I hear this guy say that he had a Bible? Did I hear him say that he didn't want to quote anything from the Bible? Now, as long as I've been on this earth, and Grand Poobah is about 96, she made it clear. She said, you know that you do not play with God's children. You do not play with God. You do not mimic, play with God's words. As evil as I am, we have passages in the Bible that we work from. And since he didn't read it, you'll see him paying the consequences for it. Rest assured. And make sure you tell Michael, because he's one of my favorites, who always look like Pat Riley coming into the job. You tell him, don't worry. Don't worry at all. But I've enjoyed this session. I've enjoyed talking back to you guys, because for years you've talked to me. And I want you to know that on this platform, I've said it I don't know how many times. Subscribers and viewers are important to a lot of people. But for me, the truth is important. A person that has riches can become broke in an instant when they lose their integrity and their dignity. And everything is about a click or a view. But on that note, this has been fun. And I'm trying to wrap my head around all of these laws. We're all learning. And we're all enduring one man that has caused so much havoc. And this one man has used many people for a tool. You're not a human being to this man. I will say it again. You're not a human being to this man. And one thing about a narcissist, and you're on the right track, but you got to be careful. One thing that they can't stand is to be proven wrong. The paperwork, like Michael Cohen said, I don't know why we have to go to trial. My God, we got so much documentation. And that's absolutely frightening to him. And you want to know what's even more frightening? And I learned this the hard way. Yes, I did. And it's dangerous. And you have to be careful. I learned the hard way that I stood and I looked in somebody's face and I said, I don't need you. You didn't make me. You are of no value to me. And they went berserk. I didn't think I was going to see the next 24 hours. But that right there, when you start saying it loud and clear, you don't need them. As you say, you go no contact, you stay away, then you're gaining. And you're taking them down. It may have seemed like a long time, but you guys are on the right track. And those boos are tearing him up. And it's going to really tear him up after this Arizona crisis because he wants to be liked. He wants to be worshiped. He's going to get less and less worship now. But you know what? I really enjoyed this call out. I really admire all the people in my call out list. And I'll be back to call out more people. And I'm going to see what I'm going to learn from now to the trial date because there's so much to learn. And thank you, Judge Mashan. Before I go, you're on my list too for having the balls, the tenacity, and the guts to stand up to what's his face or what's his name or the predecessor and to keep things moving. I'm proud of each and every one of you. And on that note,